Visitors, two visitors this morning. We have Jennifer Tracy, that's Deb's daughter. I think Deb probably got a chance to introduce her to everybody. So welcome, nice to see you. She's from North Carolina, by the way. And we have our speaker today, Tyler Roman.
Very good. If you would, all let's please give a nice warm welcome to and Elizabeth's going to move ahead and do our 50-50 drawing.
$769.
769. It's Connie. Okay. Moving on, just wondering if anyone, I know actually Elizabeth, you want to come back up? Elizabeth told me she has an announcement this morning, so I'll let her go first.
It's not really an announcement, and it's not, certainly not a happy dollar, but just the polio situation in Gaza. Unbelievable. You know, they're in there now trying to vaccinate over 600,000 children. The part that really said, wow, they have not had polio there for 25 years. And 10 months of disruption of this vaccination program, and it's back. I mean, it's fragile. So, I mean, we're fighting a good fight, but we got to keep fighting. So I just had to talk about that a little bit.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And it's interesting that you bring that up because we were just talking about that at our table and kind of wondering the same thing. It's kind of like if that was something that wasn't on the horizon or something that they had to deal with in their population as little as a year ago, and now all of a sudden it's something that we have to look at and contend with. So just goes to show you that we have to continue on to try to eradicate polio. I see there looks like a group coming to attack me, but I'm going to turn things over.
Well, this is a good transition after Elizabeth's talk there. Pints for Polio. There's a flyer on your table, October 21st. Same schedule as last year, type of event. We have tickets available. See me after the meeting if you'd like to get some tickets early. And same price, $10 a ticket. And we're in search of items for our auction. So any businesses you work with, any ideas you have, Wendy will be coordinating the auction items. And anything else, man?
Everything Tim just said.
So it's Wendy, Nate, and Andy and I are on the committee for the event.
Thank you, guys. And I'll just kind of add, you know, this is what our third event, Tim. You know, the first year we raised, was it close to $9,000? I think last year around 8,000. Let's try to continue to maintain that type of a goal. So October 21st, keep that in mind. And there will be more announcements as we get close to that date. Anyone else? I'm going to throw out an announcement. Who in here likes to hear our speakers? Okay, our speakers. You like hearing our program? I know you don't like hearing me, Maury, but do you come back every week to hear our speakers? I think we all enjoy the group of speakers that we get to listen to each and every week. So typically in the past, what's happened is someone took a month and they were in charge of getting speakers for that month. Kyle King's in charge of our club administration, and he sent out an email, and it kind of surprised me because I don't always pay attention to this, but when he sent the email, it kind of made me look and think, we need to do a little bit of something, maybe do Rotary different. And where I'm going with this is, when he had the list of speakers, there were 4 months that were vacant. So we don't have someone getting speakers for 4 months. And then when I looked at the list closer, there are 2 people that are doubling up. So the reality is there are only 6 people within the club that are finding speakers for the whole year. I'd like to see that change. And I hope that, you know, if you feel like, hey, I could get a speaker or two, and maybe you can partner up with somebody and you want to tag team on a month, I don't know, just something to think about moving forward. But I don't want to see that we only have a certain group of people that is speakers for the year. And I do have to say kudos to those who have been organizing speakers each and every month. We've had great programs. And I do really feel like that's a big part of why everybody comes back week after week, is to hear what great programs we have. So, Tyler, not that that means that we're putting any pressure on you, but it's great to hear from our programs. Mr. Girash.
Perfect timing here, Mr. President. So I did what Kyle's doing now for many years, and we had the same problem. Not always. Initially, we pretty well had months filled by each member. There was one that was open, and Bob Elser and I shared that month. And he took the first 2 Tuesdays, I took the last, something like that. So you can see how this has trended. It is not that hard. People like the Boy Scouts here today are eager to get the word out as to what they're doing. And there are, New York is crazy how varied different organizations are. So there's hundreds, I'm sure hundreds who would be happy, and all you got to do is give them a call, set up a date, off you go. Not that hard, and it's enjoyable because I've had situations where I've met people, we've chatted in the morning and followed up sometimes about what they're doing. And as to Greg's point of, do you enjoy it? When I get home today, I'll be asked, well, who was the speaker today? And what was going on? Because people I live with don't get out much. So I'm the guy that brings that news in. So think about it. And well, I had an idea once, didn't work, but doesn't mean it can't work now. If you're part of a table of group that usually sits together, then you could, as a table, take a month. That would be. Yes, there he is. You and those friends you're sitting with there, Maury. All right. Anyway, got to do something.
Thanks, Bill. So just keep it in mind, if you have an interest in gathering some speakers for us, Nate, go ahead. I'll tell you what, I have it right here on my phone. So I'm gonna, I'll just read down through the list. January and February are both vacant. March, Andy Ryan has speakers. April, Karen Comrie has speakers. May is vacant. June, Nate Tile has our speakers. July is vacant. So January, February, May, and July are vacant months. August, Nate Tile has our speakers. September, Bill Girash. October, Jeff Snyder. November, Andy Ryan, and December is Kyle. So again, you heard names repeated twice, and again, we only need 12 people to do this. So if you can help out, let me or Kyle know. The other thing, just on the club side, and it's kind of hard to think that we're even coming near this, but we are getting close to the end of our calendar year. And at that time, we should have our slate of officers filled for our upcoming Rotary year. And it's been mentioned in the past, but we have 2 big positions that we need to fill. Thank goodness Chris Pollock is going to be coming in as our president-elect, but we need a vice president. And that person would follow Chris in her year. But then we also need, and that person will become our president-elect then, but then we also would need a vice president who's going to fulfill the year after that. So keep it in mind, we still have those vacancies, and really it kind of keeps our slate open, that the district would like to know who those people are going to be. It's more important to get the person right after Chris. It's not as important to have the other one, but it's always good to have that lineup known and taken care of. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I'll work on this as we go further towards the end of the year. Anyone else with any other announcements? I skipped over Happy Dollars. Does anybody have any? Oh, Diana, like, bang. Diana, go ahead.
So time is flying by. So I have 3 happy dollars because Adriana turned 3 months yesterday. And she survived her first week of daycare, which AK means I survived my first week back to work. So not so happy dollar for that, but.
Thanks, Diana. Deb, did you? You can say that, yeah. Here, let me bring the mic to you. It's better for the people in Zoom if they can hear.
So kind of tagging on Diana's, I told her, a friend of mine told me just as soon as they're born, they're graduating or they're driving. So we had a granddaughter who got her permit last week. And I have a daughter who has 3 sons that are 22. So just a happy dollar for family.
Kids. Anyone else? Any other happy dollars? No? Okay. If not, I'll ask if Nate, you want to come forward and introduce our speaker.
Morning, everybody. It's my pleasure today to introduce Tyler Roman with Boy Scouts of America. We had the pleasure of working with Tyler and his crew to plan a really fun scout night with the Revs a few weeks ago. Several hundred people came to the game and the outfield was covered in tents. The kids had a great sleepover and it was a fun time. So I'm looking forward to hear what Tyler has to say today. Tyler Roman is a dedicated district executive with the New Birth of Freedom Council, where he plays a pivotal role in supporting the scouting program in York County. A lifelong resident of York, Tyler graduated from Central York High School before earning his degree from St. Charles Borromeo Seminary in 2020. Shortly after, he began his career in scouting, starting as a camping assistant and advancing to his current role as district executive. Tyler's involvement with scouting began in first grade with Pack 54, eventually progressing to Scout BSA Troop 54, where he achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. In addition to earning the Eagle Scout rank, he received the highest honor in Scouting's National Honor Society and was awarded the Venture Leadership Award. Tyler also played a key role in founding Troop 6 and Crew 94. His commitment to scouting extends to Camp Tuckahoe, where he has been an integral part of the staff since 2014. Serving in various roles, including camp counselor, lifeguard, and now camp director. Please welcome Tyler Roman.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. So as Nate was saying, I'm a product of Scouts. So I started scouting as early as I could in first grade with Pack 54 and then crossed over to Troop 54, which meets at, now they're back at the school, but Grace Lutheran Church, just off the Emmetsville exit on 83. So again, very much from this area. And when I was working with Nate, he said, you guys meet here. I used to golf here every Sunday with my dad growing up. So we would come out and play 9 holes in the evening before starting the week back up again. But so scouting has been a huge part of my life. And again, worked in scouting. I've only ever worked, fun fact, for the New Birth of Freedom Council specifically, but for the Boy Scouts of America. So starting in 2014, when I was 16, I started working at our scout camp in Camp Tuckahoe. And then after I graduated college, from my living room couch in 2020, I started working as our camping assistant, facilitating all of our camping operations. At that time, We had 4 camp properties: Camp Tuckahoe in Dillsburg, Hidden Valley Scout Reservation in Perry County, Wizard Ranch, which we recently sold to the Lancaster Conservancy, which is now the Wizard Ranch Nature Preserve, so just down the road in Hellam. And then Camp Conewaga, which is one of the 10 oldest scout camps in the country, which is in New Oxford. So I helped facilitate all of our summer programming, all of our year-round programming at all 4 of those camps. And then got this position, which in my opinion is the best job in the world, getting paid to be a scout and to keep the scouting program moving. But is there anyone here who was a scout by chance? Okay. Any of those scouts, were you Eagle Scouts? Am I the only Eagle? Anyone that's a life for life, that's okay. Ooh, no, excellent. Any Girl Scouts in the room? I know separate organizations, but excellent and equally phenomenal programs. So scouting, there's a lot of fun stuff going on.
I'll keep talking. You saw that. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on for scouting right now. And scouting, for those who aren't too familiar with it, particularly since the program has changed over the last couple of years, scouting serves both boys and girls as early as kindergarten, all the way through, in some of our programs, their 21st birthday, but in our core program, until they turn 18. So kindergarten to 18 years of age. So our Cub Scouts, those are the youngest scouts that we have. That's kindergarten through 5th grade. They then cross over into what we now call Scouts BSA. That would have been for all the scouts in the room. Boy Scouts when I went through. So still when I went through, that was Boy Scouts. We changed the name in 2019, and I'll talk about that in a moment, to Scouts BSA. And then we have some phenomenal programs for older scouts. So some people don't know this. We have Sea Scouts, which is a maritime program. So those that want to go boating and sailing, and that's for scouts 14 to 21. So that actually extends a little bit beyond their 18th birthday. We also have a program called Venturing. So Venture Scouts, which I helped start a venture crew in Dover, are for also scouts 14 to 21. And the program is purely for kind of fun and adventure. You know, less focused on earning merit badges and ranks, but yeah, we're going to go rock climbing, we're going to go whitewater rafting, we're just going to go camping and have fun, which scouts also do, but adventuring kind of specifically focused on that. And then we have an interesting program, power again. An interesting program called Exploring. And Exploring is also for those that are 14 to 21. And we actually have one Explorer post in York County right now, and that is post 1445 at Northern York County Regional Police Department. And so they're actually scouts. They wear uniforms that look similar to the police. I visited them just before I started my responsibilities at summer camp this summer. So their uniforms look similar. They wear full duty belts, fake guns and handcuffs and gloves and everything. And the night that I visited, they were practicing searching cars. So they were ripping the cars apart, taking out cushions, looking for fake things that the other team hid for them. So our Exploring program focuses more on career opportunities, career advancement. So throughout the country, there's EMS exploring posts, there's fire exploring posts. Veterinary seems to be an oddly high amount of veterinary exploring posts, but pretty much any career that's out there, an exploring post can be created for that. And then there's exploring clubs, which are for scouts 10 to 13. But not yet 14, where they could go onto the post. We have one of those in our area as well, and that's a sailing explorer club to help prepare young scouts to join Sea Scouts. And a lot of those scouts, they end up going Navy or Marines, or just simply like sailing. So again, there's kind of that cool career path there. But scouting started in 1910. So we will be, we're in our 114th anniversary this year. In February 8th, which is when we were officially chartered by Congress. We're one of the only youth serving organizations actually chartered by Congress, was February 8th of 1910. So that was our official birthday. And you might be wondering, I thought it was the Boy Scouts of America, but I was talking about boys and girls. So girls have been a part of our program. Anyone take a guess at the earliest year that girls were welcomed into any of our programs?
It might surprise you. And just random numbers, throw them out there. Nope, longer. Close, a little earlier than 1980. No, 1969. So that was with our exploring program. So girls have actually been welcomed in a portion of our program since 1969. And in 2000, and then shortly after that, venturing became co-ed. Sea Scouts became co-ed. But our two core programs, Cub Scouting and then Boy Scouts, now Scouts BSA, remained just for boys. In 2018, Cub Scouts, we started welcoming girls into our program. And then in 2019, so that's again when we changed from Boy Scouts to Scouts BSA, the program, we welcomed girls then to all of our programs. So it's now relatively speaking, completely co-ed. There's still boy troops and girl troops, and in Cub Scouting, there's girl dens and boy dens, but families can now participate in the program together. I remember when I was growing up, my sister, 3 years younger than me, went to almost every activity, every meeting, every outing, just never earned anything for it. But she could set up a tent better than most of the scouts in my troop. That was a fact. I preferred when she came to help us set up camp because I would work with her because we'd be much more efficient. So because of that, we actually announced in May a national rebranding. So you'll still see in stuff, and I put my cards on the back of the fun patches there for you. Right now you'll be familiar with us as the Boy Scouts of America, but it will fully take place on February 8th of 2025. We're rebranding to Scouting America. So again, that matches what our programs have been doing since 1969, where we're a co-ed program. We did a recent study nationally and learned, one, a lot of people didn't know our scouting brand. So in the middle of the patch there is our scouting fleur-de-lis. Most people had no idea what that was or who that was associated with. You know, us in Scouts, and maybe this is similar in many organizations, you think you're just out there and everybody knows who you are because you're just in the midst of it. But in reality, that wasn't the case. And then because of the name Boy Scouts of America, there was many families that had no clue that their daughters could participate in the program as well. So our national organization took a look at that. I was like, I think we need to do something with this. And that actually lines us up with most countries. So if you're wondering, how does this fit in Canada, it's Scouts Canada. In the UK, it's just Scouts. And then in pretty much every country, they call them Girl Guides, but then there's still a separate program for girls in almost every other country. But Scouts of China. So we're going with Scouting America. And Scouting has 4 main aims, and that is character development, fitness, which I will admit sometimes I'm not the best example of, citizenship, and leadership. So those are the 4 goals that we seek out to try to provide all youth in carrying out our mission, which is to prepare young people to make moral and ethical choices throughout their lives by following or by instilling in them the Scout oath and law. And there's a couple methods, and I'll just list a few because it's actually different between all of our programs, but a couple methods in how we achieve those aims. One, I was talking about dens, so any of the scouts that were Cub Scouts or at the troop you had patrols, we break the scouts into smaller groups so that way it's a little bit more manageable size, but they can work with peers of their same age. So patrols and dens is a big part of what we do. Uniforming. If you go out in the street and you see a scout uniform, you could probably instantly, oh, that's a scout. There's a scout. There's another scout. So uniforming, that way we all look alike as we're participating in our activities, but also recognizable to those that we're serving is a huge part of carrying out these 4 aims. Advancement is probably the biggest thing that we all know about. Merit badges, rank advancements, becoming the rank of Eagle Scout is a huge part of allowing scouts and the youth of America to learn new skills, try new things in a safe place and in a safe way, and they can explore different things. A big thing for me wasn't really in my bio, but while I was in college, I was an EMT, and a lot of that spawned from my lifeguard experience at camp, but then also just the first aid merit badge. So there's simple things along the way that scouts take something, nuclear science merit badge, business merit badge, family life, whatever it might be, and that jump starts a potential career path for them. Of course, getting in the outdoors. We do almost all of our stuff outside. And again, I just came from camp, so I was outside for 2 months straight, and it's kind of nice to feel air conditioning again and to be inside. But getting scouts just in a different environment, and I don't know about you, but phones live in our pockets now, and my watch buzzes every time somebody wants to reach me. And it's nice to get in a place where there's no signal, but to just get away from screens, a little bit and just disconnect, which better helps you when you are able to reconnect. And then a huge part is adult association. So at the Cub Scout program, adults are facilitating almost all the activities. But at our older programs of Scouts, BSA, Venturing, Sea Scouts, it's actually all youth led. So there's adults in the room to make sure that nobody's dying and that everybody's okay, and just facilitating to make sure plans are safe and legal and okay to be done. But at the end of the day, it's a kid under the age of 18 up running the meeting, just like this. And there's a group of the PLC, the Patrol Leader Council, that are planning the activities and what they want to do. So it's really the kids that are doing all these things. And that's, for me, that's what really jump-started scouting. And, I helped our National Youth Leadership Training. I taught that for 9 years, ended up getting the Venturing Leadership Award. But a lot of opportunities that most youth in America don't get to experience until high school or until college or maybe even later in life, we're putting right in the hands of 11-year-olds, which sometimes sounds terrifying. And when you watch meetings, it is definitely terrifying. But you just have to trust the process and know that, okay, kids with knives is okay. They're learning how to safely use them, and that type of stuff. So associating with adults is an important part, but allowing those scouts to lead their own adventure in a way. And at the end of the day, we still have our oath and law that help guide what we do. So I mentioned that recent study where no one really recognized our brand and our name, but as a part of that study, we learned some interesting things, because it was, okay, how relevant is scouting still today? And we learned most of the values that we all have, most of the values that America has, lines up exactly, with what scouting is trying to teach, the youth in York County, the youth in America. And that the goals of what parents are hoping to instill in their kids also mimics, obviously, what scouting is here to do. So this is, interesting. I think sometimes it's, okay, maybe this isn't the best, or going camping isn't a good thing, or doing this, that, or the other. But at the end of the day, in talking to almost all, talking to a good group of non-scouts, there's an inherent need or something that goes, that's important. Providing service back to the community, we think, is important. You all, I think, would agree with that. Learning leadership skills and learning different skills that we don't learn in school. I remember in 3rd grade, I learned how to change a tire. And I know a bunch of people my age, probably, I'm 26 now, probably don't know how to change a tire. And I remember learning how to write a check. And then subsequently, a month later, my dad needed to write a check and didn't know how to write a check. So as a Cub Scout, I was able to help him write a check, which was entertaining. Clearly, my mom did all the banking in the house. But there's skills that we're not teaching in school, or that are hard to do in school, that we're able to provide in scouting. And so out of this, with this rebranding, what is changing? The only thing that's changing is our name. So any of those scouts in the room that are like, oh, I don't know what's happening in scouting, the program, the core program, is still remaining the same. All we're changing is our name. We actually did do a complete relaunch of our Cub Scouting program in May to make things simpler for families and scouts to complete. Not that we were making it easy, but to just taking a look at things. Imagine a kindergartner going on a long hike rather than just walking around the neighborhood and experiencing nature. So kind of reevaluating things to be age-appropriate activities. And that launched just in June. And there was, believe it or not, even though we're an outdoor organization, there was only one fishing activity for Cub Scouts to do. Not that they couldn't go fishing, but only one fishing award. There was only one cycling award. So if you went biking, only bears would have been able to earn that. And so now we have a lot of those opportunities, advancement-wise, spread throughout all of our programs. And just to kind of provide you a little bit, so the New Birth of Freedom Council is the local council that serves this area. So I oversee all of York County. But the New Birth of Freedom Council also serves Adams, Cumberland, Dauphin, Franklin, and Perry counties. So we kind of have the South Central PA area. And then, just next to us in Lancaster is the Pennsylvania Dutch Council, and they have a couple different areas that they serve. They serve 2 counties. But there's some councils, Montana, the whole state of Montana is one council. The state of Michigan is one council, which is absurd. In PA, I think there's like 12 councils that serve all of the state of Pennsylvania. But last year, obviously 2024 is still happening, but here's some fun things that are scouts, or just some fun statistics for you of what happened in 2023 for scouts. So in York County specifically, we served 1,043 scouts across York County with plans to grow that. Right now, we're on track to grow about 7%. 5 to 7% this year, which would have that ending around 1,100, give or take, scouts in York County. And specifically, that was 541 Cub Scouts, 465 Scouts BSA, and then we had our Order Scout programs. 812 Scouts earned some level of advancement. There could be some overlap in there. We also had 34 Eagle Scouts, which meant 34 Eagle projects. And for Eagle Scout projects, those cannot benefit scouting. They're projects right back out to the community. So scouts are going out, working with their local church or maybe the library, the school that they went to, identifying some need in their area, preferably somewhat associated with them. So it has a little bit of meaning to it, and providing that back to the community. And with that last year, and this is just documented, I can almost guarantee this number is higher. Scouts in York County provided 3,025 service hours back to the community. Our Scouts also earned 5,811 awards, so that'd be their merit badges. And the Cub Scouts they're really cool, have the Cub Scout belt loops. They go on your belt, so you get to walk around with all these fancy things hanging on your belt. So there were 5,811 awards. And every fall, it's actually coming up, we do a big food drive. So scouting for food. If you've ever received a door hanger on your door, that is our annual food drive. And last year in York County, we collected and donated 21,501 items to local food banks and pantries. And obviously, I mentioned the Eagle projects. So a lot, going on in scouting. And again, going back to the Eagle projects, I actually have 5 projects in my car of recent scouts that just completed what we call a board of review in the last 2 weeks. So for this year alone, in the last 2 weeks, we've had 5 more Eagle Scouts. So we are on track to have more than 34 Eagle Scouts this year, more like 40, 45 Eagle Scouts. My other side of things, and then I want to pause and just take questions because you probably have a lot of questions or some things you might want to ask. Our programs aren't just limited to here in York County. Again, we have these 4 other camps. So I have the privilege of 2 months out of the year moving out of my house and spending 2 months in the middle of the woods, waking up well before the sun does and going to bed well after it does. And I was telling my table, I'm just praying to God that I don't get woken up at 3 in the morning for something that happened, to serve as our camp director at Camp Tuckahoe, which is in York County, but also Cumberland County. We have a couple other camps. But there's a lot of exciting stuff happening at our camp as well. This year, we welcomed over 1,200 scouts to camp this year, with projections and plans to continue to grow that after the pandemic next year. But we're completely overhauling our Cub Scout, mainly our Cub Scout program, as well as our Scouts BSA program. We actually have a trail at Tuckahoe that goes right to the Appalachian Trail. So the Appalachian Trail is just a mile and a half off the back of our camp property. And it buds, our property bumps right up to the Appalachian Trail property line. So next year, we're going to be offering for the first time in many, many years, what we're calling it a mountain adventure, which will take older scouts out on the Appalachian Trail for the week that they're at camp. So they'll get to hike a little bit, hopefully go to some state parks along the way, do some boating, swimming, maybe even pass some through hikers that are hiking the whole Appalachian Trail and talk with them. So particularly, again, for a lot of scouts that I don't need a merit badge, so I don't really need this, providing a unique opportunity that anywhere else in the country, gets much harder to just jump on the Appalachian Trail or any other big scenic trail. here just a mile and a half right out the back of the camp. We're also relooking at all of our Cub Scout programs to better fit the schedules and the needs of our Cub Scout families. To be more, if anyone went to camp, it's mainly during the week, Monday through Friday, you go to camp, you arrive late Sunday night. But most of our programs next year will be taking place over the weekend, because as I think you could all guess, you all are very busy, and so are all of our young families, and vacation time is hard to stumble upon. And so you got to weigh those options and to make sure that scouts get these wonderful experiences that we have at camp, like boating and fishing. We have a 200-foot zip line that goes across our lake, a climbing tower, all of those fun sides of scouting. Make sure that they get that. We're completely reworking that. And before taking any questions, I have just a quick story for all of you of a scout that was actually at camp this summer that I think just kind of shows how important scouting can be even to a young Cub Scout. So we had a scout at camp this year. His name was AJ, and he attended during our Cub Scout weeks. Early in the summer. So they're just there for 3 days, 2 nights. And 2 weeks later, unfortunately, the scout passed away, not related to anything that happened at camp. And they didn't even know that the scout was sick. I'm not too sure exactly what happened. But the scout in his hero walk, so he ended up donating his organs as a result of scouting, wanted to give back. He actually wore his Cub Scout uniform and his camp wristband. So we all have special camp wristbands that we gave out this year. Again, all completely tied into scouting. So he wanted to wear his uniform. He had his summer camp experience, there with him. So even a young Cub Scout who was only in the program, I think he was a Tiger Scout, so only in the program for about a year and a half, saw the benefits, knew that, giving back was important, leaving a legacy, really did mean something, even brought that into the last moments of his life. So that was a very recent experience that we had, for a scout. Again, his name was AJ, that came to camp. So there is a lot, out there, a lot of programs, a lot of sports, a lot of things for the youth in York County and the youth in America to participate in. But I do humbly believe that scouting is one of the best opportunities that we can provide our kids and everyone, all youth in York County, to better prepare them for life, but to provide these skills that they may not get anywhere else, and to provide those impacts and those changes of lives like what AJ experienced in the program. So with that, I'll kind of pause. What time is it? We got about 10 minutes or a little less than 10 minutes. Are there any questions that anybody has about scouting? Yeah.
Scouting for young parents who have boys or girls, sons and daughters who might be interested in.
Yeah, great question. So there's a lot of stuff we do at the local level. There's also a huge marketing campaign that's actually launching actively at the national level. So again, I kind of mentioned phones. A lot of, families my generation and, a little bit older, we're all glued to our phones, which is not the best thing in the world. But reaching our families via social media and digitally is often the best way to provide information to them. So we're doing huge targeted ads right now. And most of you in the room would not receive any of these ads, or you'll never see them. Even myself, I don't have kids. So, we're specifically targeting the young moms with kids who are looking for a program to get their children involved in. But digitally is a phenomenal way because we can constantly keep putting scouting in front of them. But locally, right now is prime time. So we're in our big fall recruitment phase. We actually, we were talking earlier, we have a sign-up night tonight for PAC 50, which is just down the road in Spry. But, we're out at the back-to-school nights, doing sign-up nights all through York County right now, where families can go and, oh, I'm interested, and this is cool. And the best place that we have also, this is the digital realm, is beascout.org, and you could share that with anybody. And that will allow anyone in the country to put in, their zip code where they're at and find the local PAC or troop, whatever age they are, and then provide additional information about scouting. But right now, there's a huge campaign with getting stuff digitally. There's some influencers. This is crazy to me. I never thought scouting would have influencers, but there's a TikTok group right now that is making stuff specifically to market scouting, and they're working on a big news press release that will be going out this week. So hopefully you'll hear about scouting in one of, if not multiple, news channels. So we're kind of getting out there about anywhere that any young parents could possibly try to find us. Even if they just Google youth serving program, youth programs in the area, scouting should be one of the top things that pops up for them. Yeah.
Thank you for leadership and all of you from student to grandsons and Boy Scouts. Weaver County, and I know what amount of work goes into everything you do because I see his involvement. Secondly, this is kind of a tough question. I don't mean this to be negative, but with the national organization being in bankruptcy, has that impacted you at the local level in terms of what you can do?
Yeah, so we exited bankruptcy actually last year. So it was the summer, fall, it was around this time frame of 2023 that we exited bankruptcy as a result of the child abuse claims. And unfortunately, dark history for scouting and other organizations. I went to, as we were mentioning, St. Charles Borromeo Seminary. So originally I was going to be a Catholic priest, and we filed for bankruptcy the day before scouting did. So it was kind of, my mom asked me if I was involved with any other organizations because they were going to file for bankruptcy that Thursday. And I said, thankfully, no. So unfortunate histories, there, but we have exited bankruptcy, which is an extremely awesome thing. But as a part of that study, they actually surveyed to see how many people even knew about the bankruptcy and what this may entail. And most families had no clue what was going on. They just knew that they had, families that they knew, and, kids had friends that were in scouting, and that it was safe, and that they were having a great time. And obviously we've continued to enhance. We have youth protection training that leaders have to take every 2 years. That's actually going to be increasing to every year. In Pennsylvania, if anyone works with other youth organizations, you've had to receive the free Pennsylvania clearances. Every 5 years you have to do it. So we do that as well. Here in PA, which is a nightmare with our registration system, but we persevere nonetheless. So we haven't seen a big effect. The biggest thing was honestly COVID. When your biggest program is gathering and doing activities together, and the state literally says you can't do that, that became a problem for us. So we lost, across our whole council, we actually lost over 100 scouting units, and our membership is down probably at this point about 30%, but shortly after the pandemic, it was about 40–50% of our membership had left during the pandemic as a result of that. So that's kind of the bigger thing that we've been fighting against. But thankfully, we're out of bankruptcy, so that allows us to freely do what we're here to do, which is to serve the Scouts. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a great question, and it very much varies everywhere. So in York County right now, most of our packs, we have 14 Cub Scout packs. All but 2 of them are family packs, so those are the co-ed packs. We still have 2 packs that are just boy packs right now, and we have 4 troops that serve girls across the county, and then obviously there's more across the country in our geographical territory. But I would say, just kind of off the cuff, based off of York County, we're probably only about, we'd be less than a quarter of our membership would be, maybe not, that our Cub Scout programs are very high. So it's probably like around 30% of our membership is girls right now. Obviously, I think long-term, the goal would be, it's like a 50-50 ratio essentially would be, our long-term goal. But right now, I'd say we have around 25–30% of our membership are young girls. Yeah. Yeah, so we do York County, Adams, Perry, Dauphin, Cumberland, and that's it. Those 5 counties. So that's our area. And then of course, scouting is across the whole country, divvied up by councils and then subgroups, which are normally counties or districts. So again, I oversee a small part of the New Birth of Freedom Council is our area. Well, there's 2.
What that you sold Wizard Ranch? Are you still able to use that as a camping?
We are, yes. So it's open to the public now, so anybody could actually use the property at the moment. And when we sold the land, it was mainly to just unlock the financial benefit of the land. So now it will be preserved. It'll never be developed. And it's becoming part of, and it may have already actually done that, part of a new state park that's in the area. But every 4 years, we hold an event called Wizard Safari. And that's a big scouting gathering. The last time we held it was last year, so 2023. We have over 3,000 scouts and scouters that were on the property. So we're still able to be there every 4 years to hold our Wizard Safari. And we actually have another big camporee in Gettysburg, which will be a Civil War type style camporee. We held a smaller version 2 years ago for our York County Scouts and our Adams County Scouts. And this year it's becoming what we're calling a council camporee with a goal of over 4,000 scouts and scouters at the event. But yeah, so Wizard is still available to us. We're actually doing something similar at Camp Tuckahoe right now too. We have 1,300 acres at Tuckahoe. As you imagine, we only use a small portion of that. And so a chunk of that we're working with the Central Pennsylvania Conservancy for that one. To sell some of the bufferage acreage. Again, that unlocks some of the financial benefit for us whilst keeping it looking exactly the same. We'll still have access to the trails that are there, but then the public can also experience that where some of those areas they're not able to experience right now.
Very good. If we can, Tyler, thank you so much for your presentation. Let's give Tyler, I told Tyler that, his club will donate a book to the Logos Academy. So, Tyler, in your name, it's Just an Adventure at Sea, which probably does well for your
our Sea Scout. Yeah, they would love it.
But Tim, I would like to probably get a photo. Once again, another round of applause for Tyler. Thank you. And as we close, I'm going to just kind of throw out two things. We didn't really talk much about the golf outing, but just a reminder that's coming up in 2 weeks. So we won't have our regular meeting here. And I'm going to give you all an opportunity. The following week, I'm not going to be here. Chris Pollock won't be here. Don't clap your hands, John. I want to volunteer to serve as president and run our meeting on September the 24th. So think about that. We'll look for a volunteer to run our meeting. With that, I hope everybody has a great week. Enjoy this great weather.